werewolves
bro, what
all
the
along the way.
fuck?
But the twist is, Charlotte wasn't kidnapped. She went with Meyer willingly, which throws everything into chaos. Will the bounty hunters stick with their contracts or let Charlotte live by her own choices? The straight-up plot is not my real source of obsession with Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I think it instead stems from the nuggets of an ending dedication to the minute details of the film. Its mystical creatures, its distinct character designs, its grandiose backgrounds, its elegant frames, its sweeping dynamic camera shots. It's these little details that flesh out the world and breathe all of the life into the story. And to me, the one moment that really captures that magic happens right after Dee's first encounter with the Marcus brothers. After the encounter, he rides alone into an empty desert. He dismounts from his horse, kneels by the ground, and examines faint tracks in the sand.
What the
At
fuck?
First, it feels
Guy had a whole
quiet,
face on his hand.
still, like nothing is out there. And then you realize he's standing before a herd of sand mantas. And without hesitation, Dee leaps onto their backs, riding them across the wasteland. It's a scene that doesn't need many words. It doesn't need a fight. It's pure atmosphere, pure world building executed perfectly. And to me, that's the real beauty of Bloodlust. It's not about the flashiest fight choreo. It's not about having the most lavishly detailed backgrounds. It's about the elegance of the world itself.
Bro, why did that part where he was riding a horse through the desert remind me like Fist of the North Star or some shit?
It will keep existing after you're gone. When you see shots like this, you can almost feel the world Dee lives in. And when the film shifts from scenes like this to this, you can sense the vastness of the journey. The dedication to every detail in Bloodlust is overwhelming. And given a little more context, the story of why becomes a bit more clear. Back in 1985, there was another Vampire Hunter D movie, but compared to Bloodlust, it felt rushed. So much so that the original creator constantly criticized it. That failure lit a fire under the team behind Bloodlust. And I think it shows. Every frame feels handcrafted and deliberate. And in a way that Bloodlust would never understand, it was kind of like a farewell letter to an era. Because the truth is, anime like this only existed because of a perfect storm. A booming economy, loose censorship, and studios willing to throw cash at bizarre, risky visions. OVAs and films
Why does that guy look so
thrived
familiar?
in
What
that
the
chaos. But when Japan's economy collapsed in the 90s, the Wild West days dried up. Budget shrank, and risk tolerance disappeared. In 1994, there were 70 different OVAs. In 2024, just 5. That era is gone. And with it, a kind of anime that felt experimental, raw, and unforgettable. Sure, sparks of that energy still show up in shows like Devilman Crybaby or Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but they're rare. And maybe that's why these shows feel so special. Not because they're perfect, but because they couldn't be made today. They were snapshots, strange, messy, and beautiful proof that anime once played by different rules. And now, they're waiting for someone curious enough to find them, dust them off, and remember what anime used to be capable of.
Damn, that made me low-key kind of sad, bro.
Hey, it's been.
But honestly, I'm sure there's still some out there that just probably like
since,
not easy to stream. To be honest with you,
halfway through because I thought it was trash, but I figured I was already so close to finishing it, so I might as well. I don't know what videos on this channel will mean going forward. I'm just gonna kind of take it with whatever my passion stems from at the time. We'll just see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching this vid that I made solely to
check this one out. This guy deserves a sub, bro. Shout out to
amazing manga out there. The list really
shout out to this guy
on.
Bomb, man. We just subbed up just now. I can't even lie.
The problem is that there's a select handful that gets the endless praises of the internet, leaving the rest to sit idly by, waiting for someone to spread the word about their greatness. So here I am, ready to talk about 5 series that I feel like aren't talked about enough. Ones that made me laugh, scream, cry, do push-ups alone in my room, and stare at my ceiling for hours at a time. Oh, and one more thing. They're also all finished. So no waiting around for extra months at a time for a measly pages.
Beck reminds me of like the group Beck.
Some drawings can make me feel things that I can only try my best to put into words. And feel free to let me know what you think are the peaks of peak manga that you wish.
God damn, that freaking photo. Satanji's wanted poster is like freaking everywhere,
let's
bro.
Just get into the first series, one that I found to be particularly
GTO
special.
Beck.
story of Beck initially follows this guy, Koyuki. He's the definition of average. He's got mediocre grades, no real hobbies or close friends, and honestly has the future prospects of working at his local convenience store. He has a vague interest in swimming or music since he could kind of sing good, but has no true aspirations.
Red light.
Until he met this guy. Ryusuke is a punk-headed little shit, but he's also like that one guy you randomly know that for some reason could say anything in the world, and you just want to be around him. And his goal is to make the greatest.
Man, that's the beautiful thing about manga. There's so much detail. Like, gosh.
The only feel he has,
man, the artists are so talented, bro. I can't draw worth the shit, so.
Snappy drummer, and above all, a band is nothing without a transcendent vocalist. But how and where he will find these pieces is harder said than done. Now, these early chapters honestly aren't the best. Koyuki is about as interesting as a rock you find on the side of the road, while also having no real chance to be.
That guy's face, he looks crazy as shit.
For the first 10 or so chapters, I kind of felt like, what was the point? Ryusuke spent the majority of the time just looking for people to join his band. And it was still a waiting game to
that's One Piece. We're not banned, but you know, looking people to join his crew. You can't be mad at no shit like that.
Pages here and there through these early chapters that made it feel worth it to continue on a little longer. But it still felt like it was missing a certain piece that would really make it all connect together. However, once Beck, aka Mongolian Chop Squad, was properly formed, it changed everything. With Ryusuke on
Mongolian
guitar,
Chop
Tyra on bass, Saku on drums, Chiba as a rapper, and Koyuki
damn, that's dope. What the fuck? What is this, like a fucking a new
it was from this point on that
a new metal band? Like, what the hell?
Story. Like an obese man eating Doritos, I just couldn't get enough. Being in a band is more than just about the talent of the individuals. You need the right chemistry that makes the talent within the group exponentially multiply off one another. And that's also how I felt when reading the series. Once the 5 of them were a proper group, the resulting story sparked into something special. The dynamics between the characters were fun and fresh, the slice-of-life elements actually became enjoyable, the little romance sprinkled in was pretty damn good, and above all, there was a unifying passion that was infectious with each performance and even just the practices. I just felt the same contagious adrenaline each of the band members had. I became utterly obsessed with the incremental improvement that was made after the clear hard work you could see right in front of you. But there was a specific moment in the story that flipped a switch in me and made me go, oh my god, this is one of the best things I've ever read. It was after Beck started seeing a modicum of success. Koyuki was rapidly improving, while still having faults, but it felt like if they continued down this trajectory, something incredible might just happen. And coming up was the largest music festival in Japan. Beck got an invite, yet the stipulation was that they had to draw the largest crowd of the 3 stages during their performance.
Damn.
Or something more than just terrible would happen. And with all of the stakes
something more than just terrible, what the
group
fuck?
was ready to, they were a complete mess. Members were ready to leave at a moment's notice. It didn't even look like there would be a performance after everything they'd gone through. But the resulting show was legendary. With nothing to lose, they played like their lives were on the line, and I could feel all the
I feel like that'd be
emotion
hard to
adrenaline
translate if
in
you're
every
reading
stroke
that,
on the
though.
pages. They wanted what could be their last performance to be something more than just memorable.
That's
Every
kind of
once in a
crazy to
while,
think
I'll
like
read
you
a
got
manga
all of that
can
from
only
reading that,
describe
not even
as
hearing it.
makes
That's
me cry.
crazy.
And I know that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, so let me try to explain it a little bit better. There are these moments where the entire time while reading certain stories, it feels
I feel like that would be so hard to translate because it's a show about music in a rock band. I feel like that would kind of, if they were able to get across their idea from you reading it and not hearing it, that's how you know that this has to be a great manga. Because what the hell, bro? I feel like that'd be a very difficult ass thing to do, in my opinion. Like that would just be a very difficult ass thing to do.
Adrenaline to the point where I never wanted to stop reading. I didn't have a care in the world if I fucked up my sleep schedule or not, as long as I could keep on turning the page. Beck is a beautiful underdog story, defined by the unruly work ethic needed to find success by taking a creative path. For me, it was one of the greatest things I've ever read, and I frankly don't even care that much about music, which is only a testament to the incredible work made by the author. This author is a genius.
Shuzo?
I've read several of his stories, including numerous of his one-shots, and in each and every single one of them, he's able to write certain characters with such a horrifying mystical intrigue that it completely sucks me into the page, which is an odd sensation for me, since I despise horror.
Me too.
But despite having a queasy pit,
that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. You despise horror. That's still good. That's
want to know
wild.
what's gonna happen next.
I hate horror.
Traumatic psychological horror characterizations are the closest thing I've ever gotten to understanding why someone would enjoy watching a horror movie, since this is me during them. I could talk about any of his series since they're all amazing. My personal favorite is this one, Blood on the Tracks, but it's also the most talked about of his work, so instead let me recommend you The Flowers of Evil, a confusing manga as it's both dog shit and also one of the most fascinating things I've ever read. We have this ostracized loser with a slight superiority complex. He reads morally ambiguous works, like this one, which no one in his tiny hometown can even begin to comprehend. One day he walked into his empty classroom to grab something he had forgotten, and then noticed something on the ground. The gym bag of a girl he's idolized for years now. And in an impulsive twist of fate, he snatches it to lay his eyes on what's inside.
Really,
until he hears the rumblings of someone walking into the classroom. And as he starts to panic, he hurries out of the classroom while also stealing the gym clothes. But that entire time, he wasn't alone. Someone watched him do everything. That someone is Sawa Nakamura, a girl as sharp and unhinged as she is unpredictable, where she has no regard for those around her.
Fuckface, what the hell?
Now armed with her knowledge of his shameful act, she manipulates him into a dark pact of rebellion, leading the two to pervertedly torment and vandalize the tiny town they live in, as if tearing apart their mundane world could somehow release them from their suffocating reality. This is the very surface level of what the story is about. She will tell this loser to wear the stolen gym clothes to satisfy some sick, twisted fantasy she has, and countless other indecent acts. At least, that's what the first half is about. Personally, when I read this portion of the story, I thought it was complete dog shit. I didn't like any of the characters. I couldn't understand the way the main character behaved. Why does he have such twisted motivations for his actions that to me didn't make a whole lot of sense?
Just super pervert, that's why.
Don't even get me started on her. She's this sick, twisted caricature of what you would imagine if someone said, make an evil, perverted teen girl that will definitely sell volumes. There's no real rhyme or reason to her actions, she's just pure chaos wrapped in a school uniform. And this is where I initially just flat out stopped reading. But fast forward a couple of days. I had a little extra time on my hands and thought, why not give it another shot? And despite my reservations still being present, something else took over. I couldn't stop myself from reading the next page over and over and over again, until I had finished the entire manga. And it was only after finishing it that I could appreciate what was trying to be done with this horrendous intro. When you're young, you make stupid decisions. This is a universal concept that we all share. I can guarantee there has been something in your life that you can look back on and think, why the fuck did I do that?
True.
And building this naive, stupid, murky consciousness that we all have present within us was the goal of the beginning portion of the story, which eventually reaches a pinnacle of regretful remorse for the main character's idiotic actions. And it's after this that I really started to enjoy The Flowers of Evil. The second half of the story is
nothing. What the hell is that giant eye shit? What the
an
fuck?
entirely new version of who he was at the beginning. He's now constantly battling the mental anguish as a result of his actions. The overall story becomes much simpler. It explores the two-faced conflict that the characters have. The you that you have to display to the public versus the true you hide behind a mask to uphold this image for those around you. And from this exploration, it breeds amazing realistic character interactions that I personally really adore. At the same time, this manga can spark uneasy memories you once hid away. Like, remember the awkward quietness you felt when you got invited to that one hangout? Like, you didn't know a soul and only felt remorse when you said you would come. So, you just sit there, silently, in your empty, lonely world. Oshimi is an outstanding author who can crazily create a story that goes from a terrible 4 out of 10 to a solid 8 out of 10 in the span of a short 50 chapters. You might hate this manga, you might love it, but it's worth giving it a shot. This is the 37th year of the Meiji era, a year defined by the
Oh shit! This one looks like it might be dope.
200,000 people from all
That last one
sides
was
of
kind of
the
disturbing. I
world.
can't
In the face
even
of the wall
lie.
stood one soldier, a figure so indomitable it was like he fought as if the devil possessed him, where he earned the moniker Sugimoto, the Immortal. Why would an accomplished war veteran known as the Immortal find himself in the heart of Hokkaido? The answer lies in a tale so compelling it ignited a conflict that spiraled into a four-sided war. The story goes a little something like this. There was a time when gold pieces the size of beans were found in every river in Ohio. The native Ainu people hoarded massive gold piles in hopes of one day fighting back against the Japanese who had stolen their land.
Not Japanese. What the fuck, everything. Bro?
He alone killed every single one of the Ainu, guarding it, and took the $5 million worth of gold.
Like an X-Men movie.
While on the run from the cops, he hid the gold somewhere in Hokkaido, but not long after got caught before he could tell a single soul about the hiding spot. Eventually, he was sentenced to life in prison to live out his days in the most tightly secured institution around. Everyone, guards, wardens, and prisoners alike, wanted to uncover the secret of the hidden gold, but no amount of pressure could force him to talk. So if you had to share a secret without it falling into the wrong hands, how would you do it? His solution? He tattooed a coded map onto the bodies of his fellow prisoners. His message to them was simple: break out of here, and I'll split the gold with anyone who escapes. And now, no one knows the full truth. The prisoners are scattered and untraceable, the gold's location still a mystery. But what's certain is that there's $5 million hidden somewhere on this very island where
Tended the map on different people, like what the hell?
It's a fable so enticing that he's committed to claim the treasure for himself. The premise alone immediately drew me into Golden Kamuy, where even a sliver of information about the location of the gold was like finding $20 randomly.
I can imagine it. That probably have me tweaked out. I'm tweaked out now just thinking about this.
Golden Kamuy, it would go a little bit like this. Reading it kind of felt like as if you took this stupid absurdity of JoJo's. Like imagine you and your bro are fighting where the loser is the first to. Yeah, so there's a fight where they just shoot their white manly juices at each other.
What?
And there's also this.
Ew.
What is he doing to the bear?
What the fuck?
You then make it take place in Hokkaido in 1905 until the most mentally ill people as the first person to complete the scavenger hunt.
What the yo?
For me, this eventually climaxed in standout moments for
bro, what the fuck?
Style mystery.
That was bro.
Complex, multifaceted.
Bro, what the what, bro?
All culminating in a race.
I just seen a lot of fucked up things, but what the fuck?
But all of that only really happened after
that was weird as fuck.
Threads that have been sprinkled in throughout the hundreds of chapters finally all started connecting.
Nah, this one, that last one was weird as fuck. This one seemed cool up until that moment, bro. That moment was highly questionable. Like, what the fuck, bro?
Gold, while showering you with cultural knowledge about the Ainu people. These parts for me were sometimes not my favorite, but if you really grow to love these goofy cast of characters, Golden Kamuy will always be a fun time. And as a more recently finished manga, I'm kind of surprised more people don't talk about it regularly. So check it out.
This guy looks like an old school, late 80s, 90s shonen character.
A black belt of karate, and the #1 soon.
Is that a heart? What the fuck? Yo,
he's doing what we all gotta do. Sending out an application, rejected. Another application, rejected. Interview, rejected. It didn't matter what he tried. It was just rejection on rejection on rejection.
That fucking face. That boy smelled the worst smell of his fucking life just now.
He first has to think about what exactly he likes, and maybe this can help him.
All right.
Okay. Time to be a teacher it is.
What the? Yo, what?
High school teacher of the world. Now I'm not gonna lie. This manga is stupid. I'm convinced everyone in this story goes home and religiously huffs paint fumes for 8 hours.
Bro,
that's
what?
That's the logical explanation for what happens at times. Like this entire
that was bro. I did not see that coming at all, bro.
Steps in the door.
What the fuck?
They genuinely want these teachers to suffer as if Satan himself was doing the torture.
Damn.
This manga is filled with schizophrenic behavior. These students bring a katana to school so they can kill the principal.
Wait, what?
Teacher. Here's another one. Or there's this dude who's a full-on stalker.
It's like the literal high school of fucking of the day. High school of death. Like these motherfuckers is evil.
I hate him. I hate him with everything in my being, and oh my god.
Damn.
He does not shut the hell up. You kind of just have to get accustomed to random shit happening in Great Teacher Onizuka. Like, yes, do these students nearly get trafficked? Was it a little bit uncomfortable? Yeah. Does Onizuka get tricked into spending all of his students' can't trip money on a fake student's grove bar? Absolutely.
Don't know what to say.
And I'm not even gonna describe how he gets himself out of this mess, because it's that impractical, you just gotta experience it yourself. And at this point, I can't help but scratch my head, roll my eyes a little bit, and chuckle at the foolishness that goes on. But for all of the nonsensical bullshit in this manga, this dude Onizuka is one of the realest dudes of all time. Out of nowhere, he'll drop a line like, "You can't spend all of your time bitching and moaning about the past because you cheat yourself out of the present."
Hell yeah, that's true though. That boy said that shit after taking a giant puff.
He's reaching. I love that message. Who gives a damn about the past? Why are we always worrying about the future? If you live in the here and now and give life the attentive, conscious effort it deserves, everything will work out. Because it has to. This manga is hit or miss. It's a big
That's the shit I be saying, bro.
Characters are parodies.
Everything literally has to work out because it literally has to. Like, come on, man. That's why I literally got it's only it's only up from here. It's tatted right here because it's like if you at the bottom, bro, you can literally only go up, bro. You know what I mean? Hard times hard times can't last forever, bro. So it's literally only up from here, bro. Especially when you feel like you at the bottom and you at rock bottom or you feel low, bro. You can literally only go up, and everything gonna be okay because like everything literally has to be okay no matter what the fuck you're going through in this moment. Everything literally has to work itself out because it literally has to. Like, come on.
And you can't forget, it's just fucking funny.
Does she get locked up? What the fuck?
He goes to his student's house because she's having problems at home with her parents. So his solution is to take out a sledgehammer and break the walls down.
What the fuck, bro? Bro, what?
The manga Kichi can be divided into maybe 3 separate acts. And naturally, you would think that the best way to sell this manga is to start off by going over the beginning portion of the story so you can get a surface level of what it's about. But I'm actually going to skip over that first act entirely. It's something that happened in a short 10 or so chapters, and I truly think you should just give it a shot to experience it yourself. Now, this manga follows the early life story of this boy, Kichi. He goes
that boy got a giant monkey ears, bro. Like, no bullshit. That boy, what the fuck? You chilling with the Glock out, man?
How the hell do you even get to that point following a young boy of just 3 years old? Shaped by immense trauma and a lack of formal education, Kichi developed a unique worldview, deeply rooted in his innate sense of justice. His experiences of homelessness, wandering like a nomad, and living in isolation within the depths of the forest shaped his distinct personality.
This reminds me of
He's
Black Cat a little bit.
Righteous, and headstrong, unwavering in his beliefs about right and wrong. Now, this kind of person inevitably clashes with the rules of society. So what's he supposed to do? How can he adapt to a society whose rules he rejects? Well, from maybe my or your perspective, we don't really have to do anything about it. We can all live in blissful ignorance, ignoring the blatant murders, systemic corruption, corporate greed at the expense of workers, and abuse of power by those in authority. It's nice and easy to live life not fighting back against these issues, at least in like a major direct confrontational way. But that doesn't sit well with Kichi, especially when exploitations are happening right in front of his eyes. So faced with the agonizing reality of societal life, Kichi says, fuck that. I'm gonna make my own rules. Rules that allow those who feel oppressed by society to find some solace. Following the journey of Kichi is a rewarding one. You follow this odd little 3-year-old boy become a raw icon of strength and integrity as he stands against the world's injustices and ultimately becomes an unforgettable character. I honestly had no idea the direction the story was headed when I was first reading, but I was just captivated in following the unique journey that Kichi's life brought me on. If you give this story an honest shot through 15 chapters, I would be more than surprised if you were disappointed. All 5 of these manga were honestly a treat to read. I know some are more talked about than others, but none reached the pinnacles of popularity for online YouTube sphere manga recommendations. At least in my opinion, so I wanted to shed some more light. Anyways, if you enjoyed or want to give me a recommendation directly that I will read, consider joining my Patreon, or just subscribe for more content. Thanks for your attention. Manga authors are odd. For example, this guy ate his pet goldfish. This guy says he believes in female supremacy, and this guy was an adult video director. But did you know there was an author who voluntarily decided to become homeless, not once, but several times, and because of it, became an award-winning author? So not only is the manga industry filled with so many atypical unique entities, it's often coupled with unparalleled masterpieces of storytelling. Like, you mean to tell me a homeless man, a man disturbingly fixated with feces, a relentless self-destructive drug fiend, and a man who is commanded to end his own life, each somehow birthed enthralling unique manga? And it's because of their one-of-a-kind life stories that they've found success, which you all should know about. Hashish, cocaine, acid, magic mushrooms, LSD, practically every drug imaginable is fuel for the endless creativity that this man produces. Like in this. Each chapter is just a single page, and in the format of a contact sheet, the 53 panels were actually full pages shrunken down to fit just right here. The story seamlessly transitions from panel to panel, spanning across various worlds. Take a look at this. We start in a bar playing some billiards until someone shouts out to Spinoza because a man is about to knock the daylight out of him. But the act of him getting knocked out holding the cue stick is kind of reminiscent of someone holding a fishing rod, and that's where the scene transitions to. Like, on this single page, we go from a billiards playing bar to fishing up a giant beast to getting knocked out in a boxing match to floating on a spaceship to being in a group of scavengers in a forest. But this is only the tip of the iceberg of the infinite genius sparked from his, unorthodox inspiration methods, which is on display in full force with his most popular work, Ultra Heaven, and it's a really fascinating one, since it takes place in this futuristic world that is run by psychedelics. There's Peter Pan, Bequilla, Alice, Nirvana, and of course Ultra Heaven. Each of these are powerful legal hallucinogens that run the world.
Go in the
Let's say
room.
you're having a terrible time at work. Bang, take some Bequilla. Or how about it's a regular old Saturday, just pop some Peter Pan and the day's over like that. Every single aspect of life now revolves around the consumption of these mind-altering substances. And for our main character Kabu, he's seeking something very few have ever experienced. A high that is so transcendent that one can only get a taste
That
of
motherfucker looks
on the verge of
literally
overdosing.
burnt out,
Nothing can
bro.
replicate that feeling he once had. Peter Pan doesn't do it. Alice, that shit's trash. And Bequilla, come on. But it's all until he gets his hands on some Ultra Heaven. What truly captivated me was the unreal creative paneling used to vividly convey the inebriated mental state of the character. Koike's greatest strength lies in what he once said in an interview that perfectly captures the essence of what each of his manga are all about. I want to describe the moment when the boundaries between dream and reality fade. Very particular states of consciousness that certain substances allow us to access quickly. The whole difficulty then is to account for them. Words, everyday vocabulary, the usual narrative logic are inappropriate, so we're forced to invent other frameworks.
Crazy, bro.
Now let's hear a little bit about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. On the topic of inventing other frameworks in the realm of reaching your maximum potential, one aspect that I've been looking to improve on is my creative script writing. And with the class YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit that I took by Marquez Brownlee, it has given me the perfect perspective on how to approach creating a new video, which I can say has taken me to the next level. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, offering thousands of classes across a ton of categories, like illustration, photography, productivity, and animation. And one thing I get asked a lot is how I edit my videos, and with this class covering After Effects and Skillshare, you can get that little leg up to make something creatively unique for you. Skillshare has recently made some exciting updates too. They've introduced smarter class categories and 3 new topics: creative careers, creative inspiration, and AI and innovation. You can even find classes tailored to specific software and materials. When you join, Skillshare helps you personalize your experience by surfacing recommendations that match your goals. And with back to school season here, it's a perfect time to dive into learning. So if you're ready to start your creative journey, Skillshare has something special for you. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Why not get started today? Now, what if on the opposite end of the spectrum, creativity emerged not from the altered depths of your mental state, but from stripping yourself of absolutely everything? This is Hideo Azuma, a multi-time self-created homeless man. Someone who ran away from his life as a manga author to want to eat out of a trash can. But why did this happen? Why would he choose
Did he make a manga by himself?
To start, Azuma made his professional debut in 1969 in the magazine Manga O, and in the 70s, after releasing several different series covering various genres, he started to gain a little bit of popularity. But as I've discussed in previous videos, being a manga author isn't the easiest job in the world. The ridiculously long hours combined with the stress of needing to meet deadlines can add up for some people. So in the late 80s, when Azuma was working on several different manga at once, he reached his breaking point.
Like his main, okay, there was a guy, but it seems like most of his main characters are women.
Frustrations of having to yield to his editors.
Bro, I wish I could draw like that, man.
Was receiving, and the compulsive drinking to drown his sorrows away made him say, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." He just went up and left each of the companies he was a part of. However, the downfall started somewhat innocently. He just stayed at a friend's place for a while. But when this was no longer an option, he took to the street, finding a forested area where he could hide out. And it was kind of honest. He had bedding, he scavenged for food in the trash bins or stimulants on the ground. But best of all, he was away from the work that was causing demons in his mind. However, one night after doing his daily nightly scavenging for cigarette butts, he traversed way off his usual path, to somewhere he probably shouldn't have, where he encountered the worst possible person. At this point, he was interrogated and found out to be a suspect in a missing person case, where he was forced to return home and resume the grind he desperately tried to escape. Yet, if that was just a story, it would be kind of boring. So, years later, the cycle started all over.
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty interesting. It wasn't even boring.
With his prior experience, he had a little bit more freedom, so he indulged in various vices.
Eli,
however, in an unexpected turn, he was oddly pressured into a blue-collar job as a gas pipe layer, getting unwanted housing and work in a completely different town, simply because he was dodging his occupation as a manga author. And the entire time doing so, he had no real desire to continue the work, but felt like it would be more difficult to get out of it. Now, I've talked a lot about who this person is, and you might be wondering, what the hell? What is the manga this homeless person ended up creating? Well, everything I've told you is the manga. The autobiography about his homelessness.
I knew it, because that's what I say. How could they have those frames if that wasn't even turned his life into a manga?
3 periods of struggle. His first experience with homelessness, the second time and how it led to him becoming a gas pipe layer, and eventually his time in an alcoholic ward. So if any of this has intrigued you, check out Disappearance Diary. It was crazy. A fantastic read. But if you think that's almost as bizarre as some of the people I saw at Anime Expo, wait until you hear about Shintaro Kago. This guy's taken the concept.
Wait a second, why was metaphor at Anime Expo? Isn't that a... Did they showcase video games at Anime Expo?
Which is a blend of eroticism and
grotesque what the
imagery.
fuck?
He's even embraced the title of Kiso Mangaka, or bizarre manga artist, which, trust me, it's an understatement. For example, he organized an entire film festival dedicated to the depictions of excrement. Yeah, you heard that.
What?
Artists and filmmakers from around the world came together to showcase their unique work, all revolving around feces. And this is just scratching the surface. In an interview with Vice, Kago talked about his wide range of creative endeavors, including a side gig of making and selling figurines of shit and corpses. But what types of manga is a man so oddly fascinated with still creating? Well, his approach to storytelling is equally unconventional. He once said, basically it's a question of how many stories I can come up with revolving shit or sex. Also, if you're enjoying, consider subscribing. Thanks. Now personally, I find his manga tough to stomach. Body horror makes me want to squirm around on the ground like a worm with epilepsy. And despite my disdain for a lot of his works, there are elements in it that I absolutely love. Take the short story The Last Moments of a Manga Artist, for example. In just 4 pages, it presents the narrative from the most unique perspective I've ever seen. It's framed from the very page this manga artist is working on. It's as if the paper itself was a camera recording the author's every move. But as the artist works, she learns that her series is being cancelled, leaving her with nothing else to live for. With no income and a multitude of tragedies in her life, she would rather just end it all. So in the final panel, she does. And the same goes for so many of Kago's works. Yet throughout the various manga Kago has created, he's broken down the structure that makes manga what it is, and one of the most interesting demonstrations of it is in this. So, you know how manga typically are contained in boxes for our eyes to follow? You know, you go from the top right over to the left and follow that structure downwards. But imagine trying to flip that framework inside out, and if you do so, you might get something like this.
What the fuck?
So although I can't
How would you
explain
even
why
read
the
something like
works
that?
can be so compelling, since I personally find them grotesque, disturbing, unpleasant, and make me want to peel my skin off, I adore the unbound creativity he can demonstrate. Not only that, in a vacuum, I can still admire art like this that goes beyond the repugnant stories he can produce. But if this Reddit post that says, "I like how he makes being dead sexy," describes how you feel,
what the fuck does that even mean?
leave. But in the realm of body horror, I don't think you'll find very many manga artists that'll surpass Shintaro Kago. Honestly, the unparalleled originality of this man and his work is truly fascinating, almost to the point that it makes me wonder where the hell all of these thoughts could have originated from. And it just so happened that he's found a lot of inspiration from Shigeru Mizuki. Just someone who was demanded to end his own life, had his own blown up by a bomb, but then somehow went on to become a manga genius. So what's Shigeru Mizuki's story, and what types of masterpiece has he created? Born in 1922, he grew up in a small coastal town that would later become the backdrop for many of his works. From a young age, he was fascinated by yokai, an interest that would heavily influence his future as a manga artist.
Why do I feel like this video has been on longer than...
far from ordinary.
This video's only been on for 10 minutes.
Japanese army during World War II.
How's it
He was sent to fight in the harsh environments of Papua New Guinea. It was during this time that he experienced horrors that would leave a permanent mark on him, physically, mentally, and creatively, which by the end of his departure left him stranded on Papua New Guinea, where he witnessed many of his friends' deaths. He even lost an arm in an air raid just before he was commanded to a death sentence. But despite the harrowing experiences, it cultivated in my favorite of his works, titled Onwards Towards Our Noble Deaths. It's based on the real-life experiences that he encountered. As a late-arriving, low-ranking soldier, he was subjected to relentless beatings, a brutal consequence of his position. The manga immerses you in the harrowing experience of characters teetering on the brink of starvation, enduring grueling physical labor and harboring deep resentment.
Lord of the Flies shit, but with actual adults.
All of this before they even face combat.
And
from the outset, the narrative is painted as a desperate crawl into hell. This is precisely why Onwards Towards Our Noble Death stands as a masterpiece. The weight of Mizuki's real-life experiences infuses the story with an undeniable power, making it all the more poignant. Personally, I've always had a soft spot for memoirs, so when you combine the extraordinary tale of Mizuki's life with his charming cartoonish art style, you get a story that deserves to stand the test of time. It captures the essence
so crazy.
of the
It's like the last, not the last two, but the guy before this guy and this guy
truly draws me to
both wrote stories about, it's like autobiographies or some shit.
His background and some of the side characters are drawn in excruciating detail, but that's never the main focus. The focal point of the stories are all centered around goobers that look like this. These goofy-ass looking characters
those guys don't even look
so
like
much personality.
Like,
as it's a clear
manga
choice
drawn
that
characters
look a little brainless and
look like, I don't even know.
It's something that makes me
somebody
want to
drew that shit with
them
an
out of my
ink
screen
pen, bro.
and place them on my desk like little figurines. And what I particularly like is that it's done intentionally. Look, he can clearly draw realistic characters, but chooses to make them look like this. This is genius. Onwards Towards Our Noble Deaths is just one of the many stories that deeply resonated with me. But what's remarkable is that this level of depth and artistry extends across all of Mizuki's manga, making each one a testament to his enduring legacy. If you're interested in his wartime depictions, his portrayal of Hitler offers a fascinating perspective. His experiences also give him a unique insight into themes of death and the afterlife, which is evident in his popular yokai tales like his most renowned work, Gegege no Kitaro. One lesser known but equally captivating story I came across from a previous video is 3 Streets of Mystery. But despite his resounding popularity in Japan, he remains a relatively unknown figure in the Western world, which is kinda a shame, so you should definitely check out his works. But he's just one of the many extraordinary individuals I've given just a glimpse into, each shaping their incredible stories I hope you'll explore in the future. Their unique experiences and quirks feel the distinctiveness of their storytelling, making each narrative captivating in its own right. I've thoroughly enjoyed diving into each of their one-of-a-kind lives and exploring their works, and I hope you have too.
One Punch Man. Hell yeah, man.
This is the greatest feeling ever. Not being able to put a
Hey man, you already know the fuck we rocking, man. Big Sage Life shit. I will be back on. Later on, we're gonna play some Assassin's Creed.
At the time of the release,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I always say that shit's so fucked up. Y'all already know, man. Thank you to every single person that tuned into today's stream, whether you're on TikTok or whether you're on Kick. It is love every single time, man. I appreciate it. And whether you're going to watch this YouTube video or the file later on YouTube, it's love every single time, man. Sage Life. And I'm gone, man.